2024 kicked off the era of corporate adoption and institutional adoption of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin represents the world's first, greatest digital settlement network, digital monetary network, digital trust network. So if you're a company and you want to be able to move money at the speed of light, or if you want to implement the next generation of internet applications by using the Internet of Money, then you're going to be interested in this. It's like we're in the first year of corporate adoption of the Internet of Money. And just like in 1994, that was the first year of adoption of the internet. You would want to do it if you want to stay on the leading edge of digital transformation.
We've seen some milestones over the last few years as far as the move towards more institutions adopting Bitcoin. We have the ETFs recently approved, the FASB rules are changing. Do you think there's going to be another catalyst that we should be watching out for that will usher in maybe these big companies finally saying they're going to put Bitcoin on the treasuries?
I think that January of 2024 was the beginning of the period of corporate adoption of Bitcoin. And, that first big catalyst was the SEC's approval of spot ETFs for Bitcoin. The second big catalyst is going to be the SEC's denial of every other crypto application for a spot ETF. And the entire world was thinking, will the regulators ban Bitcoin? And we answered the question, no, it won't be banned. And then the next objection is, but will it be copied? And when we actually see the regulators deny the applications of the copies of other crypto assets, then we will have checked the box. It won't be banned. It won't be copied. I think that the critical catalyst will be not just the institutional or the regulatory acceptance of Bitcoin as an institutional asset, but it'll also be the regulatory rejection of the alternatives. I think what you're going to see over the coming 4 years is progressive adoption of Bitcoin by a bunch of banks, a bunch of various regulated entities operating in every major jurisdiction. The rules regarding transfer are going to evolve. In some cases, they're clear. In some cases, they're hazy. In some cases, they're being contested. In some cases, they're very unclear and uncertain. I don't think that in 4 years, every question will be answered, but I do think 4 years from now, you'll have a lot more clarity than you have right now. And that clarity, to a certain degree, will come because of the entrance of the large entities in space. There's already interesting movement afoot for the New York Stock Exchange to start trading 24/7. And that's been created by the crypto enthusiasm. So I think you're going to see an evolution of traditional finance organizations. I think you're going to see a lot of lobbying for more precise legal clarity and regulatory clarity, and you're going to see a lot of building both by new digital assets companies, as well as you're going to see all the traditional accounting and traditional finance operators. They're going to upgrade their systems in order to support this new Bitcoin-backed economy. And it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of accountants, a lot of lawyers, and a lot of thinking and some time. But because of that action, I think we'll get to a much better place. There is this spreading orange wave, and the orange wave is, of course, Bitcoin, and it is spreading into the capital markets through a dozen publicly traded Bitcoin miners. It's entered through companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla and Block and Coinbase that all have a Bitcoin interest. It's spreading through nearly a dozen US-based ETFs, but now we have Hong Kong-based ETFs, and we have soon Australian ETFs, and we have some European ETFs. Well, as each of those things spread, they slurp up capital. As their performance outstrips gold or the S&P or bonds, they get headlines, and that causes them to creep onto the front page of CNBC and Bloomberg and Fox Business. And that starts to plant some questions in the minds of financial advisors and institutional investors. And they in turn start to talk to other CFOs. I think that corporations, especially publicly traded corporations, will tend to be on the conservative side. You'll probably see institutional investors move before the corporations. You'll see sovereign wealth funds move before the sovereign. you'll see the private companies move before the public companies. There's no way to stop an idea whose time has come, and the success of the idea will tend to slurp up the capital in the marketplace. The capital is going to go to where it can find the highest return and where it gets treated the best. And as that capital reallocates, then industry watchers take note, and then the Overton window shifts. 2024 kicked off the era of corporate adoption and institutional adoption of Bitcoin, where now that tension between our corporation, is this for corporations, is this for institutional investors, or is this just a retail offshore phenomenon? That got resolved in January, and by the end of 2024, it'll be pretty clear. And this is the year when you'll start to see large corporations adopting Bitcoin as a treasury asset. We'll have fair value accounting, and it'll become much more normal, and you'll start to see a universe of 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 companies that have some Bitcoin exposure. From 2028 on to maybe 2040, that last 12 years, that'll be just breakneck growth. I mean, we'll see everything kind of working. We'll see 90%, 95% clarity as to how it's going to work. That'll be the growth years. And I think when you get to 2040, Bitcoin will be 30 years old, and we'll move.
Wild.
The first 15 years were kind of adolescent childhood. The 15 years after that, the teenage, young adult years. And then it'll be like the first 30 years of the internet, right? And from there, it'll be a growth industry, but it'll be kind of a mature, well-understood growth industry. Every corporation will expect to work with it. Everybody will understand it. It won't be this crazy, exotic, complicated thing anymore.